Fan, what is going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Good morning and roll tide to you inside the comment box. Today is Monday, February 3rd. Today's show, all about Ryan Grubb. As you know, yesterday on Sunday, the news was released that Ryan Grubb will be the new offensive coordinator for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I want to talk about it. I want to get your thoughts. I want to provide some takes on this new Alabama football team. Yes, new Alabama football team without the Jalen Milroe as a quarterback, with a new offensive coordinator at the helm. This is, I feel, what Alabama wants to be in 2025. We're going to dive into it. But first, let me know where you're watching from inside the comment box. And thank you very much for joining us today on the program. I also have T up in the house.
Good morning, everyone.
All right. And away we go. Let me ask you, just from the jump, what was your excitement level and where were you when you heard that Ryan Grubb was going to be hired as the offensive coordinator? And did you believe it? It like over the last, I don't know, 2 years now, year and a half, I don't know, I guess a year since Coach Saban, we've had these monumental news drops that we haven't had since I've covered the team. They're like landmark topics, okay? Like Coach Saban, Kalen DeBoer being hired, Ryan Grubb leaving, Caleb down. You see what I'm saying? And like yesterday, it was one of those monumental markers. And I think when you go back to this whole Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer deal, it impacts us so much because we knew that Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb were a package deal. And we felt that those two guys coming over here was going to be something that we could hang our hat on going into 2024. And when this whole Ryan Grubb deal, when he got fired from the Seattle Seahawks, we instantly thought, well, there he is, bring him over. I don't know why it took the amount of time that it took. There's a lot of people, honestly, out there that felt that Ryan Grubb was going to come to Alabama. I think there was a possibility, but for me, I didn't think that it was going to work out for whatever reason. So I'm glad it did, and I'm going to provide you with a couple different reasons why I think that this is really going to be what we want it to be here at Alabama football. So thank you so much for being here on the show today. And we go. As you know, it's monumental news. I think in the world of college football, Alabama football still drives every single thing, right? When you look to Alabama football and kind of where the program is, while the national spotlight and the national standard might have Alabama out of the top 10, everybody still wants to talk about Alabama football. And with Ryan Grubb coming in, it's on the front page of ESPN and everywhere else for good reason. So, because Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer did work together, did serious work. And when you look back at everything that these two guys have accomplished in 2007 outside of 2024, it's high level. Now, neither of the guys is coaching the SEC now. Coach Kalen DeBoer has within a year, but Ryan Grubb, he went to the NFL. And the rumor is, and let's just get this out there, that his wife didn't want to come here. We have no idea if that was ever confirmed or true. A great question for a reporter would be like, how's your family feel about coming to Tuscaloosa? Nobody will ask that, though. You imagine?
I'll ask it. That's yeah.
But besides that, so, and if you kind of rewind, Ryan, this Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator position came open exactly around the time where he could still have an opportunity to be in the Pacific Northwest, right? I think he wanted to be the Washington head football coach, and he was really hurt that he didn't get that opportunity. So now you have a year without Kalen DeBoer, and you have a year without Ryan Grubb. Each of these guys had their own failures last year. Let's call it what it is, right? Ryan Grubb, he got fired. The NFL don't play, period. They don't care if you're Bill Belichick, Ryan Grubb, whoever. You don't win in the NFL, you get your ass fired. And you should. That is how life should operate. If you're not doing a really good job at your job that we hired you for, you get fired, period. Right? You want high achievers. You don't want to continue to give. Now, I'm not saying like after 1 year every single time, because sometimes it takes time for you to develop. But like if you're not cutting it in the NFL, that's why I love the NFL, because they don't play, period. Kalen DeBoer had his own struggles. Guy lost 4 games. And you put Nick Sheridan, who was going to be your tight ends coach, at the offensive coordinator position. And maybe this was by way some sort of design, this master plan by Kalen DeBoer, that he felt that Ryan Grubb would somehow have another opportunity to link back up with Alabama football. I don't know. But Nick Sheridan was in over his head. I have no idea what position he's going to be here at Alabama. And if you're asking, or if you asked yesterday, I'm sure you saw it. There's a lot of reports from ESPN or whoever you follow. Nick Sheridan is going to stay on staff. From my understanding, let me see if I think I cooked up the staff's graphic right here. This is your staff for 2025. Kim, what's up? I appreciate you being here, Max. Cam TV, Brock. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10. All right. So this. On a scale of 1 to 10, when looking at this graphic of the coaches that are returning for 2025, what is your assessment of the Alabama coaching staff? 10, like absolutely elite. 7, you're feeling good about it. 5, kind of meh. Or 1, straight trash. Better not be 1. All right. So let me know inside the comment box what you think about the Alabama coaching staff. And here we go. I mean, looking at the coaching staff, I put it offense, defense. And from my understanding, Alabama football can have as many coaches as they want. Honestly, they can hire 25 coaches, but it's 11 that can recruit outside of the university. So Brian Ellis, a lot of people are thinking, oh, would they just kick him to the curb as a tight ends coach? That's not necessarily the case. He could be tight ends coach. He just can't recruit outside of Tuscaloosa. That's my understanding of it. Or that could be the same thing with Nick Sheridan. Coach Kalen DeBoer is not afraid to give big titles to his assistants. Think about it. I mean, look, you see it right here. Okay. Look, DeMarcus Shepard. And I get this. A lot of this is about titling and about pay scale. It still seems confusing to me. Right. It seems like you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I want a head coach, an OC, and a DC. And then like that's how the pyramid goes. And the running backs coach reports to the offensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator reports to the head coach. But I'm too like military minded, right? This seems like a bunch of the guys are like the same title. For example, let me read this out. This is the only thing that I don't agree with. I like the staff, to be honest. I don't know. I feel it's probably like an 8, 9 out of 10. But this is what I don't like. Like Jamarcus Shepard, he's the assistant head coach and the co-offensive coordinator and the wide receivers coach, right? Is he higher than Robert Gillespie, who's the assistant head coach and the running backs coach? And is Freddie Roach, who's higher? Freddie Roach, he's the associate head coach. Is he higher than like the defensive coordinator? I have no idea. It's confusing to me. But and like Mo Linquist, he's the co-defensive coordinator. So maybe they just put Nick Sheridan as the co-tight ends coach and co-offensive coordinator and co-quarterbacks coach. That's the only thing that I don't like. But overall, I do like the staff. And you're starting to see a lot of the guys from Washington come together, right? Kalen DeBoer, Washington. Ryan Grubb, Washington. Jamarcus Shepard, Washington. Nick Sheridan, Washington. Let's see. Kane Womack and Kalen DeBoer have worked together. Chuck Morrell, Washington. You're starting to get all of Washington's coaches over here. We don't know about Scott Huff, who's the offensive line coach. Right now you have Coach Kapilovic, who I think does a really good job, to be honest. I feel that Alabama still has a major issue at the right tackle position, but that's another show. That's another point in time, right? But I like staff. I really do. I'm excited about Coach Kalen DeBoer's staff and what he can build with Ryan Grubb. I just feel that the offensive coordinator position was certainly missing from this past season. And that compounded with the fact that Jalen Milroe was the quarterback and couldn't operate Kalen DeBoer's offense at the highest level, really took these guys back and really limited the success of Alabama football. Now, it was Coach Kalen DeBoer's own failure that he didn't pull Jalen Milroe. We can go back and forth a million times over that. And that's why there's a group who has very high confidence in Ty Simpson, and there's a group that doesn't, because they feel this, and we don't know this for sure, but they think this. Well, if Ty Simpson couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe, then Ty Simpson isn't the guy. We don't know that for sure. It seems that Kalen DeBoer was just really loyal to Jalen Milroe. Or the other theory is that Jalen Milroe just had such high control over this team that if he benched Jalen Milroe, he'd lose the entire locker room. I don't know. What you do need is the best overall player to be the guy this year at quarterback. If that's Keelan Russell and he's ready to go, absolutely by week 1 against Florida State, you start him. There's no messing around this year. You can't play around this year. There's too much. There's too much at stake after you lose, after you don't make the playoffs. I saw Andy Staples on 3. He just released his playoff predictions for this next playoffs. Alabama's not even in the playoffs. That's kind of the national perception. So here's what fans initially thought about Ryan Grubb coming. And then we're going to talk about why he was fired in Seattle, 2023, the greatness at Washington with what that staff did, Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, how those two have succeeded over the years, right? And talk about the offensive talent that Ryan Grubb inherits. This might be a genius move by Ryan Grubb, honestly, sitting out that first year with Kalen DeBoer. This is what I like about it, because the first year taking over for Saban, no thank you. You come in after the first year, after Jalen Milroe, after Coach Kalen DeBoer has taken his licks in the SEC, and now you're ready to go, right? So, real quick before we get to the fan sound off, here you go on the left. T, if you could read out some of those places that Coach Ryan Grubb has been, and since 2007, keep in mind this: since 2007, when he's at Sioux Falls, all the way to 2023 when he was at Washington, he was with Coach Kalen DeBoer.
So he started 2003, Kingsley, Pearson, I guess that's a high school, and then South Dakota State until 2007, Sioux Falls, Eastern Michigan, Fresno State, Washington, and then Seattle, and then back at Alabama.
Yeah, so he's the only time he was in the NFL was the one season where he was. Sorry, I literally got at this exact time. I literally just got 7 text messages and 14 emails. You that busy out there, fam? All right, here's the fan sound off for you guys yesterday. Okay, and another email is in. Now this is Matt Zenitz. I have Zenitz on him. All right, here's the fan off. And Lee Jackson, this was on Facebook. He said, thought his wife didn't like Alabama. If mama's not happy, nobody's happy. And that's the thing. That's why I started off the show talking about the whole rumor that his wife didn't like Tuscaloosa. We've never heard her came out here and say that she doesn't like Tuscaloosa. All right.
Heard that directly from her yet. That's all been.
I want her to, you know what will break the internet? If she comes out and she's like, I effing love Tuscaloosa, and she's at Lake Tuscaloosa. She's on top of, Harbor Ridge out here with the lake house.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Why don't you read out Josh and Paul Taylor, T?
Let me see.
All right. Josh says, I hope he plans on sticking around a minute. Last year, it appeared he wanted to be anywhere but Alabama. And then Paul says, this was the biggest problem last year. Hopefully, he will teach Sheridan as well. Okay. Alonzo he says he was waiting on Milroe to leave. See, that's what I was saying. That was like a chess move by Ryan Grubb, waiting out Milroe and then coming in and looking like a superhero, right? Todd inside the comment box is like, Seattle won 10 games. Todd, we're going to talk about that because Seattle didn't have the worst season, and Geno Smith put up ridiculous numbers in the NFL. But does anybody know where Seattle finished in the NFL team rushing wise? Out of all the 32 teams in the NFL, where did Seattle finish?
Well,
right?
They rushed a lot.
No, they were 28 overall out of 32. All right. Rick Pearson says, makes sense. They won together in Washington, right? And as we continue with the fan sound off, Mike says, we will see. Alabama has been through a bunch of coaches during Saban's time, which is true. I mean, that I've been here, what Mike is saying, I've seen so many different offensive coordinators, right? I mean, I got here right after Lane Kiffin left, Brian DeBall, Mike Loxley, Steve Sarkisian, Bill O'Brien, Tommy Rees, Nick Sheridan, and now Ryan Grubb. That's crazy to think about all the offensive coordinators that have rolled through. Steve Sarkisian was clearly the best, and then after that, I don't know, maybe it was Coach Loxley. Mike continues, if he's good, he may be gone in a few years, or he may be loyal. DeBoer and Bama, we will see roll tide. That's a really good point. And I think a lot of people are going to ask this is, how long will Ryan Grubb be here? Will he use this kind of as a leaping point to be a head football coach? Well, he's never been a head football coach to begin with. So I think all these coaches at some point in time want to be a head coach. I think he's definitely going to stay here. I don't know. I was going to say 2 years, but you never know. Things change. Things could open up. He could be a spot could open up for him in the West. Roderick says, okay, he won't be using Saban's resources and using his own offense. Carl says next season we'll do much better than we did this season, improved the offensive line, and we could be very dangerous. And Frankie says, I'm glad to see Grubb at Bama. Besides, people need to let go of the past. Saban has retired. He was a great coach, but it's time to move on. 100%. Yeah. And I think it's going to always be hard to move on from the things that Coach Saban did. But I think as we continue to move forward, people learn to move on. And this is Coach Kalen DeBoer's team. I've brought up many different graphics, many different times to showcase you the fact that a lot of Saban's guys are starting to move out, whether they've graduated, whether they've transferred, and you're starting to see more of Coach Kalen DeBoer's team and his philosophy and his coaches overall, right? But I think, the offensive line is the biggest thing that they need to absolutely fix. And I think that'll be the next thing when we're on live for breaking news will be Alabama lines this right tackle from wherever, or it could be, and I'll talk about this on the end of the show, that Michael Carroll might be playing right tackle. He's the incoming 5-star, right? So who knows how it'll work out, but the biggest thing was solved with the offensive coordinator standpoint because people, honestly, I was seeing the analytics. Like anytime that Nick Sheridan was in a photo, people were mad. People were just not happy with Nick Sheridan. How would you assess Nick Sheridan's overall offensive schematics in terms of like creativity, how he used the offense, what he did? And I get it. He couldn't sub out Milroe, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you grade Nick Sheridan? Honestly, scale 1 to 10, like a 2, a 3? Does it matter? I don't even know what he'll do going forward, but I'm glad. And, you can watch Seattle Seahawks press conferences with Ryan Grubb because now you know how Coach Kalen DeBoer does his press conferences. You have the offensive coordinator speak, then you have the defensive coordinator speak or vice versa, and then you have Coach Kalen DeBoer. So now every single Monday during the season, you're going to have an opportunity to hear from Ryan Grubb and what he says. Chris from New Jersey says a home run higher, talking about Ryan Grubb, 100%.
Sheridan are a little higher than I thought they would be, but I think a lot of people are, saying it's his first year as offensive coordinator, kind of like they do with DeBoer, and willing to give him a little grace for that, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing about this, what if, you have to understand too, and I'm not protecting Nick Sheridan at all, but the guy couldn't sub out Jalen Milroe, right? Cam TV, I think he was way in over his head as well. On top of that, he had to play Milroe. And you guys saw, I don't even, we might touch on this in the back end of the show, but my goodness, did Milroe struggle during the Senior Bowl? 3 of 5 for like 25 yards. He had 2 passes that he threw into the dirt. He had a rough week of the Senior Bowl. I told you guys that he shouldn't have gone to the Senior Bowl. The only thing that he did was hurt his draft stock. I think the only thing that's keeping him alive is the fact that he just has such a high ceiling. But where he's at right now, it's not it. Carrick inside the comment box is saying a straight up 1 for Nick Sheridan. More found sound off. This is from YouTube right here. LJ is saying, thank God. Chucky's saying, let's go. Bama fan is saying, I've been waiting for this news to break. I think Sheridan was over his head. Exactly what we were saying. And then Saban wanted him. And that says a lot. And I was thinking about this as well. What makes me feel really good about Ryan Grubb coming to Tuscaloosa is the fact that Coach Saban entertained the idea and offered Ryan Grubb the offensive coordinator position here at Tuscaloosa before the 2023 season. I think that says all we need to know because Coach Saban already saw the offensive philosophy and the schematics that he was bringing to Washington, and he wanted that to come to Tuscaloosa. Coach Saban was always ahead, always. He was like 4 or 5 years ahead. That's why Coach Saban bounced out when he did, because he could definitely foresee where college football was going right now, where it's at, right? No guardrails. And I was thinking about this, and I don't want to get off topic too much, but Matt Rule, the Nebraska head football coach, is thinking about canceling his spring game because of the fact that people are going to poach his players after the spring game. So think about this. Alabama's spring game is April 12th. The transfer portal opens up April 16th. Let's just say Richard Young balls out, right? Completely has let's say he has close to 100 yards. He's like the third string quarterback here because maybe they got Jalen Washington moves up over him or something like that. People could now tamper with Richard Young to get him to leave. So it's basically a platform for the athletes, and they should have platforms to do this during the season. But during the springtime, you have another transfer portal. This is absolutely crazy. Coach, so my point is, Coach Saban saw where this was going. Coach Saban saw what Ryan Grubb was doing, wanted him to come here, but Ryan Grubb was like, it would be great to come over here. Maybe my wife doesn't like it here, but I got this guy named Michael Penix Jr., and I got Roma Dunze on the offensive side, and we're about to run the table or try to in college football. 2023 was crazy. I'll showcase those numbers in just a second. All right. I want to talk about this, though. Like, why was Ryan Grubb Seattle? And when you rewind to when he was let go at Seattle, it's rather interesting because I feel, let me ask you this. How important is running the football at the college level, at this level? Do you feel that teams like Ohio State and Notre Dame, the two teams that played in the college football championship, that they could run the football? Do you feel that they utilize their running backs? Ohio State had close to 2 running backs that I think each of those guys ran for 1,000 yards each this past year. Now, I don't know if Alabama just turns into just a pass-only type school, which I don't think they're going to do. But these numbers are concerning when you look to what Seattle did last year, right? So head football coach Mike McDonald said this on why Ryan Grubb was fired, right? I feel like the direction of our offense was going to be different than the vision I had for our team. And really the underlying reason was the fact that Ryan Grubb did not run the football for the Seahawks. Okay, before I get to that graphic, let me show you this. Okay, this is the NFL last year, and these are the rushing rankings. So out of 32 teams, and I have a couple things circled here. Number 28 was Seattle. In 2024, Seattle only averaged per game 95 yards per game. That's not it. That is why they're at their lower end of the NFL. The last 3 games, they averaged 102 yards rushing. Okay, now they didn't run the ball a ton in 2023, but as you can see, in 2024, 95 yards plus 3, I guess, from the year before. That's not it. You got to be able to run the football in the NFL. You guys heard of Saquon Barkley, right? Here's what Seattle Seahawks fans had to say. Tia, are you able to see that? All right. If you could start up on the left and go counterclockwise.
Yeah, so the first one is 2 things can be true at the same time. Yes, the O-line is horrid. We all know this, but Grubb isn't ready for this level of football. The play calling was unforgivable.
All right, stop right there. So he says the offensive line is horrid. Well, the same thing with Alabama this past season at the right tackle position and even right guard because Jaden Roberts wasn't playing up to his full potential, probably because of injury. But that last part, and these are from Seattle Seahawks fans when Ryan Grubb was fired, the play calling was unforgivable. That is concerning. All right, the one underneath it, T.
No play action, no bootleg plays, no commitment to the run game. It may lead to a lot of passing yards, but it doesn't lead to wins in the NFL.
That's also concerning. I mean, I want to see, I like play action. Now, if you have a quarterback that can do play action, and I think Ty Simpson fits that mold, no bootleg. And one of the things that was really concerning for me this past season was the lack of creativity within the red zone. And I felt overall, you would start to feed the running backs and they would start to get hot. And then you would go completely opposite of the running backs. And then the running backs allow them to go cold. All right, top right, T.
So this person's saying that they're split on this. I'm a big believer that you have to give someone at least a year and a half to figure things out, especially when it's their rookie year.
And that could be the same thing you could say about Ryan Grubb and Coach Kalen DeBoer. But at this level, at Alabama and in the NFL, there's no time. There's instant. We want instant gratification in terms of wins and production immediately. Those are the standards. Sorry. If you don't want those standards, then don't come to Alabama. If you don't want those type of standards, then don't go to the NFL. Those are the type of standards. I think those standards are more like high school football. Let this guy get in and develop. I'm serious. I'm not playing around here. Like college level, at this level with Alabama in the SEC, win immediately. Did Coach Kalen DeBoer win? Yeah, he won. He was undefeated here at Bryant-Denny Stadium, but he didn't make the playoffs, right? Ryan Grubb, team won 10 games with Seattle. Geno Smith had thousands of yards. They make the playoffs. Fired. That's it. That's how the world operates. And at this level, this is a professional level. Ryan Williams, Jalen Milroe, all these guys driving around way nicer cars. This is professional. If you don't win, the higher ups, the university now, they don't make their money. And last year wasn't it. All right, bottom right. See.
McDonald kept saying we need to run the ball more, but Grubb kept giving him the middle finger and throwing more than any other team in the league.
And that is also concerning too, because you know what? Think about the backs that you have coming up. Okay, this is the running back for Alabama. How would you grade this running back room, fam? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely elite, 7 being high level, 5 being kind of mid. I don't know. This is a pretty damn good running back room, to be honest. Do you think there'll be 1,000-yard running back in this room? There won't be. None of these guys on this screen, sad to say, will run for 1,000 yards. And I agree with you, Dylan, inside the comment box, that I think one of these running backs will leave after the springtime. And I hope it's not Daniel Hill. I was going to show this on the show. I'll maybe show it tomorrow. Follow Daniel Hill on his Instagram channel. The guy just posted photos working out. He's in the field house. Dude is absolutely jacked. None of these guys are going to run for 1,000 yards. Can they still make the playoffs? Can they still win the whole thing doing it? I guess so. But these guys could be 1,000-yard running backs anywhere else. But think about what people were just saying. That McDonald kept saying, we need to run the ball. And Grubb kept giving him the middle finger and throwing more than any team in the league. That is concerning if you're looking at the running back room. Now, all right, these are numbers from the Seahawks. I showed this already. But look, to walk you back off the ledge and think about this, okay? The 2023 Washington team, elite on offense. Okay? I have some numbers circled here from that year. Michael Penix Jr. threw the ball 555 times, which is crazy. Nearly 5,000 yards and 36 touchdowns. So you're like, oh, well, the running backs don't eat. Well, look at the bottom left. Dylan Johnson that same year had 233 carries for 1,100 yards, almost 1,200 yards. Ryan Grubb clearly ran the football that year. And over to the right, look at all the guys that got fed receiving-wise. I think there was another wide receiver that caught for 400 yards as well. Polk, 1,200 yards. Rome Odunze, 1,600 yards. That's more yards than Jameson, than J-Mo caught here at Alabama. I think he caught like 15, right? Jack Westover, 433. So you could just pencil these guys in terms of the guys that are coming back for Alabama's offense. Quarterback one up top. I have no idea if Alabama will throw the football 555 times. But you see what I'm saying? Look at these guys coming back, okay? Look at those numbers. Here's your quarterbacks. Here's your running backs. I'll go to the wide receivers in just a second. But here's a split screen of what Alabama is going to have to utilize, right? Now, whoever you want to be wide receiver 1, 2, or 3, there's a lot of talent. And I'll go back to the other graphic real quick so we could look at the wide receiver room with the names. This wide receiver room could be the best wide receiver room that Alabama's had since 2020. I'm not kidding. Isaiah Horton, problem. Jeremy Bernard, problem. Very consistent. Ryan Williams, absolutely elite. Rico Scott, super underrated. Old Rock guy, I see you inside the comment box. I'll get to you in a second, bro. Cole Adams, man. I don't want to forget about him. I really like Cole Adams' game. Jalen Hell, damn. What if Jalen Hell is 100% healthy by the fall? Bubba Hampton. I forget about him, man. And that's no disrespect to him because I really like his game. In fact, Coach Saban, I always remember this. Coach Saban straight up said that Bubba Hampton was a dog. When Coach Saban starts mentioning you like that and starts talking about your level of play, having that dog mentality, that says all you need to know. Latier Brooks, baller. You heard what Courtney Morgan has said about him, Alabama's general manager, and Derek Meadows. So look at that wide receiver room, right? And then just imagine you have 3 wide receivers to work with in this set with the tight end, Josh Cuevas. But imagine you go to a 4 wide receiver set, and I'll build some different graphics out to kind of demonstrate that as well. But let's just say for your first 3 wide receivers, Ryan Grubb has at his disposal with, let's say, Ty Simpson at quarterback, Isaiah Horton, Jeremy Bernard, and Ryan Williams. Throw on Rico Scott or Jalen Hell in place of Josh Cuevas, depending on down and distance. This is a very good offense. Now, when you look to the offensive line, this is what I have right now in February. This could change. Think players could change positions, but I have it Caden Proctor, Cam Dewberry, Parker Brailsford, Jaden Roberts, and Wilcom Formby. I feel that the offensive line, just as you, all right, you have questions about the offensive line. Overall, you don't have any your questions for offense for Ryan Grubb are who's going to start at quarterback? Easy. How are you going to rotate the wide receivers? Not a big problem. D Harsh, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. And what's going to happen with the offensive line? Who's going to be your left guard? Who's going to be your right guard? And who's going to be your right tackle? I don't know. Maybe Michael Carroll can play right tackle or at least create competition. I would imagine that Cam Dewberry stays at that guard position. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I think, you have to hit the tackle position hard within the transfer portal. But man, and I wanted to talk about this too. The development at quarterback has been less than over the last 4 years. Would you agree with that assessment? Do you feel that after the 2020 season that Alabama's quarterback development has gone the opposite direction? Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it's been the quarterbacks that have been here. I don't know. All right, T saying yes. Riley saying no. Because I started to think about it. I mean, you look at the past offensive coordinators, most of those guys have also been the quarterback's coach as well, right? Bill O'Brien was, Tommy Rees was, and Nick Sheridan held that title last year. Before that, it was Steve Sarkisian. Before that, who was the quarterback coach? I think Steve Sarkisian. I'm trying to think. Who was the quarterback coach the year that Mike Locksley was the offensive coordinator? So that would have been in 2019, T. If you could look up that 2019 Alabama coaching staff. But my point is this. Bill O'Brien, Bob, Tommy Rees, and Nick Sheridan, those guys haven't held the standard of developing quarterbacks since Steve Sarkisian left. And I feel that Ryan Grubb coming back, and although, he's worked with the quarterbacks a little bit, it's more Kalen DeBoer. I think that these two guys will be able to develop more focus on these quarterbacks and get these guys going. T, do we have that?
Yeah, it was still Steve Sarkisian in 2019, so I guess 2018.
Oh, so yeah, okay. So yeah, then it had to be 2018.
Let's see.
Okay.
Enos?
Oh yeah, Dan Enos. I forget about Dan Enos. Oh man, Dan Enos. The funniest, thank you, Bama Jeff. The funniest story is when Dan Enos left to Miami. Thank you, Primetime. Do you guys remember that story on Yahoo Sports? So the story was that Dan Enos, this was a story written. You could go look it up. So the team comes into the coaching staff comes into a meeting, and they're all sitting around a desk, and Saban rolls in, and Saban's like, "Where the F is Dan Enos?" Nobody says anything. None of the coaches say anything. And they're like, "Did you where's Enos?" And again, nobody says anything. And they're like, "Did you text him?" No, someone's like, "We text him." One of the coaches saying that we text him. Uh-huh. And he's like, "Text him?" He's like, "Did anyone pick up the phone and call him?"
Yeah.
Nobody did. So they go to his office, and his office is completely cleared out, and there's just a pencil.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a pencil on the desk.
Yeah, Max is saying he left the coaches meeting and went straight to the airport. What a snake. Wow.
Where's Dan Enos now?
Let's see.
All right. Yeah, so, but getting back to that, I feel that the quarterback development really hasn't been it. And look at work with.
I guess right? Wake Forest.
Oh, Wake Forest. All right. Dan Enos at Wake Forest. these three quarterbacks, I feel optimistic about these guys. I mean, we all know why we like Ty, and we all know what he brings to the table. We haven't seen him start a game. We haven't seen him run the offense for back-to-back games or whatever. He's just come 16. You know what's impressive is he's played in 16 games. But I like what Ty brings. He's athletic. He has a very live arm. Go back. You know what? It might not even been this last spring game. So the spring game in 2020, what was that? 2023, I guess. Oh, he had some amazing throws, like throws with like zip on it. And the guy's fast as well. Austin Mack is the guy that came in that was specifically brought in by Kalen DeBoer and probably by Ryan Grubb as well. Jordan Bradley says Dan Enos was KJ Jefferson's coach. Damn, that's what's up. Wow. KJ Jefferson was a monster at Arkansas. That was the guy who got Terran Arnold and just like threw him to the ground. It was tough to take. And then think about this. Keelan Russell comes in, and Ryan Grubb. Think about this. All right, Ryan Grubb comes in just as Jalen Milroe leaves, and the number one composite player overall comes in, which is Keelan Russell, who he has to work with.
Yeah.
So whenever, let me ask you this, and we haven't seen too much of Keelan Russell other than kind of like snapshots or whatever on Instagram. Is there a percentage out there that feel that Keelan Russell is going to start the freshman? Let me ask you. I think Ty Simpson's 100% going to be the starter. But who thinks? Put your hand up inside the comment box if you think Keelan Russell will be the starter. Quincy inside the comment box is saying, I seen Keelan Russell in Duncanville. He's the truth. Being from Texas, outside of Dallas, I seen that dude make some throws. He's a quarterback. Appreciate it, Quincy. Man, because I've been watching more Keelan Russell film, like chopping stuff up, doing videos. The one thing think about this, what I'm about to say. I never really saw Jalen, like, let's talk about red zone, right? 20 yards in. There was plays, even like 15 yards in, I'd see Duncanville roll out Keelan Russell, and he has a very good ability to throw on the run, right? Keep his eyes downfield, make plays. Whereas with Jalen Milroe, even this last season, you got into the red zone, Alabama was going to run the football with Jalen Milroe, period. And we never really saw Jalen Milroe throw on the run, right? Think about that. I don't think he did. Not that much. But overall, the quarterback development is something that I think is going to improve with Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer, and it has to. And this quarterback room is outstanding. And I don't want you guys to forget about Austin Mack. So please don't. When you're talking out there with your friends and stuff like that, I like Austin Mack's game, I have to admit. I knew that Dylan Lonergan, despite the athlete that he was, and even Eli Holsting, I never thought Eli Holsting was going to play. I kind of imagined at some point we could see Dylan Lonergan. I feel differently about Austin Mack. I feel he's quality. So having him here, what is he, like 6'8" or something like that? Yeah, he's like 6'7". So I'm excited for this year. And I think this was something that had to happen because Nick Sheridan just wasn't going to be the guy. And I think it's also a major step forward for the Crimson Tide in terms of understanding the seriousness about year two. If Alabama doesn't make the playoffs this next year, it's going to be terrible for the brand. Let's admit that. But man, I feel that with all these guys coming back on defense, I mean, which guy aren't you excited about returning? Some of the reserves I'm a little bit nervous about. But damn, man, like the offense now, if Alabama could just figure out their right tackle position, and you're in a really good spot. I get it. The schedule's always going to be difficult, challenging in the SEC. But I'm feeling more optimistic today, I have to admit, than I was maybe in the early part of January. In January, honestly, I kind of took I felt a little defeated after that Michigan game. And I know there was talks like when Ryan Grubb got fired that he might come over here, but I didn't believe it. And now, but there were some people that did that were saying that he could still come. I had kind of lost hope. And the loss to Michigan was deflating on several different points. But this is probably the most optimistic news that we've had in some time. I understand that Alabama just had this red carpet rollout for all these class of 2026 guys. I'm sure that they told them about Ryan Grubb coming. I think it's good for the overall brand. I think people are really excited about Ryan Grubb coming here for many different reasons. And these guys have proven this is important. Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer have a proven track record together, right? Whether you want to call it Batman and Robin, I like to call it Bert and Ernie, whatever you want to call it, these guys have won. These guys played in a national championship game. When's the last time Alabama played in a national championship game? Right? Yeah. And the other thing is, too, if you're out there and you want to be even more optimistic, think about the home runs that Kalen DeBoer has hit. Now, has he lost them? For sure. Like, he's lost games. But think about this. Kalen DeBoer landed Courtney Morgan. Courtney Morgan, if you're out there and you understand like this general manager position, he's like the biggest name that you could get. Now, all these other programs are like making a general manager position. Then he got Ryan Williams. Okay. He's able to really work that first transfer portal window. He's able to get all these guys to come back on the defensive side. And now he gets Ryan Grubb. I think when Ryan Grubb was initially hired, we were talking about him being an offensive mind similar to the names that are synonymous with top-level college coordinators or college offensive minds like, I don't know, Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, right? Those type of names. I think Ryan Grubb was up there before he went to Seattle.
How much he was offered, Grubb?
How much do you guys think that Ryan Grubb is going to be making? What was it? I think Chip Kelly now going to the Raiders is making like $6 million as their offensive coordinator. I would imagine that Ryan Grubb is probably making like 2.7.
Yeah, what did we offer him
2.8?
last time? Was it just 2?
Damn, $5 million. Alex, that seems a little high. I think I'm going to say, if I'm not mistaken, I think Sarkisian made 2.
Yeah, 2 sounds.
I think I'm going to say like 2.
A little
2.7, 2.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Between 2 and 3, yeah.
Yeah. I forget how much Kane Womack is making.
What did they offer him last year? Was it 2?
Probably, yeah. That's usually what they pay the offensive coordinator. You know, it's slowly been growing. Nick Sheridan hit that threshold probably because of experience, but I think that's kind of the baseline. They're probably going to pay Ryan Grubb, I would imagine, like 2.7. If they paid him $3 million, maybe it's $3 million. Maybe that's what changed things.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if it was.
Bama Derry's saying $3 million. I think it might be. Yeah, I think it's going to be close to that. Damn, Dylan's saying some NFL scouts said Austin Mack will be the number 1 overall pick. Dang, in 2 or 3 years. That's wild. I haven't seen that.
Wow.
Colby, yeah, we talked about that. Saban wanted Grubb in 2023, 100%. Brian, what's up, my man? Good to see you inside the comment box. North Alabama Storm Chase. Appreciate you being here. Timothy is saying the pay is much higher, especially with the price of
eggs nowadays.
You know what? Quick sidebar. Are there eggs at your grocery store? Yes or no?
No, not near me.
No, there's some eggs. There was eggs at
Fresh Market.
There's no eggs at Publix. But you know where all the eggs are at? Are at these little like tiendas.
Oh, that's a smart place to look.
All right, no, there's not.
Apparently, I saw a video. They put a pallet out at Costco, and they were gone in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I need a little side hustle. Start selling
We
eggs.
need to get some chickens.
That's us and Sammy. We'll go into business together, man. Yeah, Bama Chickens on YouTube.
There you go.
Oh man, Alex, that's what's up. Um, just rest easy on this. Be more optimistic. I I think it's easy to go. I was talking to my son about this. I think it's sometimes easy to go into a negative spot on social media. But in life, and when you look to Alabama football, things are cooking for these guys. I think this was a major step forward. And I think after you kind of shake off this last season and Jalen Milroe leaves and you kind of wish those captains, the best, the Malachi Moores and Tyler Booker and those are kind of the last guys, really captains for Coach Saban. And some of these guys were recruited by him, but you'll start to see it filter out. And I think there's plenty of reason to be optimistic about this coming season for Alabama football. The only thing that is scary for me is the fact that you have this other free agency window after spring football. So, and I guess you could get, a little bit nervous that Alabama only has one commitment from the class of 2026 and they just had a junior day, but I'm sure I think it's a little bit too early to start focusing. There's been times when Coach Saban only had one commitment in April. So if you're like a recruiting guy out there, don't worry because there's still time. Plus, these guys like commit and decommit. I wouldn't worry about it. But I will say the running back from Jackson, Alabama, Xavier Crowell, that guy looks like the absolute man. He's the guy who reclassified into from 2027 into 2026. Have you seen this guy? Nightmare. But how are you going to feed all these running backs? I don't know. I think he's coming for an official visit this summer. All right, fam. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Reason to be optimistic. You know what? Tomorrow we'll do call-in show. And I want to get your calls on Ryan Grubb. I want to get your take on this Alabama offense under Ryan Grubb. And I want to get your excitement you should be excited. Two things. You don't have Milroe as your quarterback and you don't have Nick Sheridan as your offensive coordinator. Right? And you have all these guys returning on each side of the ball. Break the internet with right tackle. I appreciate you guys being here yesterday when the news broke. We had 1,600 on or something like that. That was what's up. Bo Roland's he's seen Xavier. Yeah. He's a stud. Yeah, the Jackson guy for sure. 100. I think he'd probably be the number one running back in the country, right? From Alabama. Wow. Stay locked on. As news happens, I'm live every single day, Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time. And as major news happens, yesterday was chilling, making some shrimp ceviche, and it was perfect timing because I needed the shrimp, or not the shrimp, the fish, to cook in the lime. And then boom, I looked at my phone. I was like, all right, got 30 minutes to go upstairs and knock it out. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your life. Ryan Grubb coming to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Big news for the Crimson Tide on Sunday. News as it happens. Have a restful Monday. Go get your ass started. Go do your thing. I was going to say, no resting on Monday. Work. All right. I love you guys. Look for this also available on Spotify and on iTunes. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Love you, fam.